You take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here.
Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. Good. You're still listening to reason. You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world?
Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something? Then drop the knife.
We should. It'll go a long way to building trust with her. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really is a monster, but killing someone in cold blood isn't very becoming of us. The blade tumbles out of your trembling hands and drops to the floor with an unceremonious clang.
Thank you. Maybe now we can just talk.
Against your better judgment, you step forward to speak with the princess face to face, unarmed. We'll be fine. I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish here, but I can assure you there's no reasoning with her. Just make sure you don't forget about the blade on the floor. You're going to need it.
So here we are. What an awkward start to a relationship. Oh, have you decided what to do with me?
You know why you're here. Oh, you have to be kidding me. You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key.
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
I'll be here.
You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place. Is someone else here? You make your way back to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd simply slain her like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they? The knife. Pick it up and cut me out of here.
You won't like what happens if you do that. Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the princess's arm, just above the massive, unyielding chain. You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp, and you make quick work of it. Before long, you're able to crack through bone, and she pulls the bleeding stub of her arm through the iron gauntlet. She didn't so much as utter a sound. Free from her bindings, the princess turns to face you, her fierce gaze meeting your eye. How is she so composed after losing an arm? It's like she isn't even bothered by it.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
No, we won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps forward and raises the blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me. Stop that.
I thought this was a little too easy.
Your body lunges forward to sink the blade into her back, but the princess swiftly moves out of the way before you can connect. Stop it! Stop resisting me! I am trying to get you out of here alive! The blade! Move the blade!
You're doing your best to help me, aren't you? I can see the conflict in your eyes. I'll make this quick.
She steps forward and pries the blade from your rigid hands.
Maybe I'll see you in another life.
And then she slits your throat with an almost clinical ease. Her face remains unchanged as she watches you collapse to the ground, blood flowing from your butchered neck. This is the end, isn't it? I'm afraid it is. Everything goes dark, and you die. I hope it was worth it. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a prince. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. Yes, don't believe a word she says. Just go in, take the knife, and do what you're supposed to. Wink. Did you just say wink out loud? No, I didn't. Wink. Just ignore this clown and focus on the princess. The interior of the cabin is less a cozy woodland retreat and more like a dungeon. A few pathetic wisps of starlight attempt to illuminate the cold, uninviting stone walls, and thick, wrought iron bars barricade the windows, reminding anyone who enters that this is a prison. The only furniture of note is an iron table bolted to the floor, a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. You take the blade from the table. It would be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon. Good idea. Much better to be armed than to go in with blind hope alone. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing an old stone staircase. A few sputtering torches attempt to vaguely illuminate your path, dancing across glimmering patches of slimy moss on the stone steps. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favor. Her voice, harsh but controlled, carries up the stairs.
Is that a visitor I hear? Please, come downstairs. It's been a while since I've had company.
I wonder what visitors she could be referring to. Are we not the first?
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. She looks up at you, the heavy collar around her neck clanking loudly as she moves, the chains binding both her wrists to the far wall, joining the metallic chorus as she adjusts her hands in her lap. Should we be worried about the one around her neck? Why would you be worried about her restraints? If anything, they'll make your job easier. Have you noticed the empty chain on the wall? Odd that in a place where everything seems to serve a distinct purpose, there would be something so obviously useless.
What an interesting development. Why don't you have a seat? The two of us should chat before you bury that thing in my heart.
Without a moment of hesitation, you charge the princess, your blade primed to deliver a lethal strike.
I am not a damsel to be helplessly murdered.
As you move to strike the princess, she stands, her chains clinking as she wraps them around her fists. In an instant they're around your neck, both of you dropping to the ground as she pulls them taut, bracing her body against yours as you struggle uselessly.
Drop it, or you die.
I thought this was going to be a safe move, but she's going to kill us. Just listen to her, do what she says. How many times did I warn you she's not to be trusted? But while strangulation can be very distracting, she's not armed, and you have your pristine blade. End her before she ends you. You steel your will and refuse to give in to the princess's demands, ignoring the stars dancing in your eyes and the screaming of your starved lungs. You strike. You fumble your first few attempts, only making surface-level scratches and gouges as your arm flails forward, barely able to obey you. But a single focused blow was all it took. Your blade pierces up through her ribs, slicing through flesh, striking her heart. The chains loosen. The darkness creeping in at the edges of your vision subsides.
None of this was ever very fair, was it? But I did kill you last time. I should have expected you might want some petty revenge. Unfortunately for you, that means you've dug your own grave. You can forget about me ever helping you again, even if it damns us both.
And just like that, the princess is slain and the world is saved. Whenever you're ready, you can proceed to your reward.
I don't like this. It was too easy.
It was not too easy, we almost died. That's right. This was an incredibly difficult task and you performed it admirably. Let's just get out of here. I don't like looking at her body. Plus, he said there'd be a reward. I'd appreciate...
You have the attention span of a fly. How are we supposed to unravel the mysteries of this place if you're so easily distracted by empty promises?
It's better to have a short attention span in a situation like this. There's no use dwelling on the past, especially when it's already set in stone. And especially when your promised reward is not, in fact, empty, and is worth all the adversity you've been through to get here.
Fine, but if we're leaving, then we're taking the blade. I feel...
With your work done, you remove the blade from the princess's corpse and make your way back upstairs, closing the door to the basement behind you. You can think of it as sealing yourself off from an unpleasant chapter of your life. It's all uphill from here.
The windows. Do you see that? We used to be able to see the outside world from up here, but now it's just... empty. The door. Check the door.
You open the cabin door, ready to return to a world saved from certain doom. Only a world saved from certain doom isn't what you find. Instead, what you find is nothing at all. Where a lush forest stood mere minutes ago, the only thing in front of you now is the vast emptiness of some place far away.
You don't have to act surprised. We could see this vast emptiness through the windows.
It's gone. Does that mean we're not gonna get our reward? This is your reward. An eternity of bliss, if you'll have it. And I suggest that you have it. Okay. This is what's best for everyone. Trust me.
Like hell it is.
What's done is done, and there's no going back now. Time passes. You can't be sure if it's days, or months, or years, or even decades. It's all a wonderful, boring blur. You've never...
Decades? No, it can't be decades. We can't go along with this. We can't let him win. We still have a blade. Let's use it on ourselves and start over.
He's suggesting you kill yourself. You shouldn't kill yourself when you have an eternity of bliss right in front of you. You goddamn spiteful bastard. Are you really going to turn down immortality itself just to make me lose?
Why should it matter if we die at this point? Haven't you already gotten what you want?
I don't have to answer that.
That's all we needed to hear.
You raise the blade, then drive it into your heart. You collapse to the floor, everything goes dark, and you die. You're a genocidal maniac, you know that, right?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
You're on a path in the... See, that wasn't so bad. And now we've got another chance to get to the bottom of things. Bit by bit, we're starting to unravel this place. There are so many more threads to pull once you stop feeling. That's a little dark, buddy. You feeling okay? I'm feeling nothing. And I like that just fine. So you've been here before. Of course you've been here before. What count is it this time? 2? It's our 3rd. What gave it away? Your open discussions. You came around on that awful fast. Have you just been pretending to forget every time? I'm afraid not. Whatever other versions of me you've met in those other lifetimes were just that. Other versions of me. I just wish I'd been the first. So you knew how all this worked. Why didn't you ever tell us? We could have used it to our advantage. That's because there is no using it to your advantage. The more information you have, the harder it will be for you to succeed. It's not like it was that difficult to slay her last time. She may have put up a fight, but her flesh is still softer than our blade. And now she's dead, and I doubt she'll be able to do much of anything from the grave. You already slew her, and you survived? Yes. Then why, pray tell, are you here? Oh, I know that one. We killed ourselves. Why? Because you thought trying to stuff us away in a corner for eternity was a suitable reward. Was it not? What better reward is there than eternal bliss? You should have been happy. We were bored. There were still answers that we needed to find. It was actually working. And you killed yourself. I can't believe it. You ruined everything. How does us dying ruin everything? What aren't you telling us? The world doesn't stay saved if you die. And if the world isn't saved, then that means she isn't dead. I'm sure you've already heard my words of warning in one of your past lives. You've already managed to slay her once, just don't muck it up this time, all right? What we do is entirely up to us. And we have all those mysteries to unravel, isn't that right? You aren't here to solve a mystery, you're here to save the world. That's what you say, but how can we be sure? We can't be sure of anything except what's right in front of us.
Okay, but we should care about the fate of the world.
Why?
Because we should. I don't know. It's important.
Is it?
Yes. I think.
For all we know, the world you're talking about isn't even real.
Of course it's real. Where do you think you are? Somewhere else?
Maybe we are.
This is horribly unproductive. The cabin and your extremely important destiny await. As soon as you enter the cabin, you're struck by an overwhelming scent of decay, of mould and death and stagnant water. The once stately wooden building is bloated, its beams dripping with a black ooze of putrefaction, all but the exterior stone walls warped beyond recognition. It must... But you're not alone. You can feel something watching you. There is a figure faintly outlined against the rotting wood of the wall. Is that...
It's like she isn't even there.
See? We killed her.
You're right. Maybe she doesn't reset like us. She certainly doesn't look the same as she did last time.
Before you can make a move, the figure is gone, vanishing behind the door on the far side of the room. The door at the end of the room? But there isn't a door. There's a mirror, that's it. The mirror? Is this some kind of joke? Did you all plan this out before dying? There is no mirror. There's the door to the basement, the table, and the pristine blade. Huh. That's strange. There's supposed to be a pristine blade. Why isn't there a pristine blade? Maybe it's gone because we've already killed her with it. But we had it with us when we died. And besides, everything else has reset. Why wouldn't the blade have reset too?
Maybe it's because we've already explored that avenue. We've seen what happens when we slay her. Maybe this place has decided we don't need to try that again.
I suppose it doesn't matter why the blade is gone, but you're going to have to find it if you're going to do this right. So why don't you march over to that door and make your way down to the basement? You make your way to the door at the end of the room, stopping just in front of it. You must think you're looking at that mirror you mentioned earlier, the one that doesn't exist. Just reach forward and open the door. It's so hazy. We should try and clean it off. You reach forward and place your hand on the door to the basement. The handle is just a little to your right, and a little down.
Yeah, we can see it now.
So much for our reflection. We didn't need to see ourselves anyway. I'm much more interested in seeing other things. No way left to go but down.
The door to the basement groans open. The air is foul and wet, so thick that you can almost feel it settle onto your skin in layers of grime. The stairs are coated with slimy algae, the wood rotted through in places, reeking of fetid vegetation. A wispy figure watches you from the bottom of the stairs, face veiled in shadows, legs submerged up to her shins in dark waters. There she is again. Barely. She's just an old memory. Your eyes lock for a brief moment, then she vanishes around the corner. As you descend the final step, the form of the princess comes into view, a bloated body floating face down in slowly rising waters, her wrist still bound to the wall by a heavy chain. This cell is a dark and isolated place, with not so much as a window to allow starlight to penetrate the gloom. See? She's dead. She's not just dead. It looks like she's been rotting. So killing her does stick. Mostly. But if she isn't dead, you clearly just believe she is. Her corpse is floating right in front of us. You can stop it with the mind games. If she's dead, then do we even have to do anything? How can she be a threat to the world like this? Your thoughts are cut short by the sound of a slamming door and a clicking lock. You turn to see the shade of the princess staring down at you from the top of the stairs. So that's where the blade is. It's already in her heart. And yet she isn't dead. She is dead. Have you never heard of a ghost before? Oh, for the love of... Can we not waste time arguing over the semantics of what is and isn't dead? She is clearly conscious. She clearly just slammed the door on you, and she clearly has a weapon. Your pristine blade sticking out of her chest. This is extremely bad. Catastrophic, even. Yeah, dead or not, what are we supposed to do about her? Slaying, or destroying, if we want to be a little more death neutral, seems off the table. Yeah, this is tricky. But let's talk to her. See what kind of information she has that we don't. But she hasn't said anything. Are you sure she can talk like this?
Bold of you to come back here after what you did.
The princess eyes you with a disaffected gaze as you rush up the stairs, but you don't make it past the first few steps. The door bursts open, a powerful wave of water crashing down towards you. You're swept up in the flood. Your head slams into the basement wall. You come to a moment later, suspended in darkness, disorientated, only aware of the surface of the water and the emptiness above. And of course, the princess, hovering above you, watching in silence as you struggle to stay afloat in the icy depths. There's no way out. It's so dark and cold, I think our limbs are slowing down. How much longer can we do this? Just keep breathing, we'll figure this out. Or we won't. It doesn't matter either way. But you don't have time to figure anything out. Something cold and clammy wraps around your ankle. You're dragged under, only able to take one last hopeful gulp of air, before your head is plunged into the freezing depths. As you sink below the surface, you see it. Or rather, you see her. The body you found floating when you first arrived, its hand is locked around your ankle, the heavy chains pulling you both down into the unfeeling, suffocating nothingness.
I get it. We shouldn't have killed her. Just get it away from us, please.
The past is the past. There's no changing it. There's nothing to fix. And there's not a lot we can do about the present either. Not unless we think, like we should have been doing all along. But there is no thinking as you drown. You desperately try to pull yourself back to the surface again, and again, and again. Your icy limbs flailing desperately against the grip of her rotting corpse. And all the while her ghastly figure stares down at you, expressionless, as unfeeling as the weight around your ankle.
Your lungs filled with water, the same your mind filled with blood.